Hi, it's Chris from Rally Notes. In this episode of the Purple Plymouth Project, we cover some roll cage basics, talk about what we have to work with and what we'll need to do to the cage to get it up to spec. We pull out the seats and belts and take off some clear coat with the pressure washer. Stick around. So we just got the seats out of it, and I wanted to show you guys the cage and start to talk about roll cages. But it's a black roll cage inside a black car. Not conducive for filming. So what I've brought along is some blue tape. When you open the door to a rally car, you want to look for what I think is the first most important thing, is the door bar. And it should, according to the rules, the 2014 rules, I believe, should make an X. Kind of a pretty limp X. There's no other piece of bar that comes down here, and this doesn't go all the way to the front. This design would have been okay 2007, 2008 when this car was built, because it has the full sill bar, and that's the long bar on the bottom here. The other reason why I use blue tape is it allows you to visualize what your roll cage is going to look like if you're putting it in the car for the first time. It's roughly as thick, and it gives you some idea, if you tape up the door, to kind of figure out, could I get in okay? Should I move the X back a little bit? Certain placement of things. The next bar I want to talk about is the A-pillar diagonal. Now, the important thing about the A-pillar diagonal is it prevents this part of the car from crushing inward. As the marketing for Chrysler told us, these are cab forward designed cars. I'm not quite sure what that meant, but in practicality it means that the dashboard is so long and this is such a jelly bean angle that if the car were to have any weight put on this, this will basically invert and fold towards the driver. So the A-pillar diagonal in this car is great to see and is now part of the current rules. The design of the A-pillar diagonal is that it must be completely straight looking at it from the side of the car. So 90 degrees to the car, it is completely straight bar that supports this part of the car. This does actually have a bend in it, to allow the driver to have free access to the steering wheel, and this could even maybe be bumped out a little more, but this is a really good safe angle where this is going to take the load should something hit this part of the car. Early in rally, the sill bar wasn't always required, and I have seen many a car in the East Coast slide sideways into a 30-inch tree stump and basically turn this part of the car underneath the door bars into a giant tree stump. Would just be able to go in here. And if you notice, where my creeper is where your seat would be. Co-drivers and drivers would slide sideways and end up breaking their hip, which is a very, very painful thing to do. I do not want to do it, and I don't recommend it. Needless to say, the sill bar is another piece of protection against that. This is going to be what we're going to end up having to do on this car in order to make it legal for the latest rules. I think placing the X where this low point was should allow someone like myself, some tall guy like myself, to be able to jump in and out, have pretty good access. It'll come up a little bit because it should go all the way down to this corner, and then the X should come from here all the way back to the main hoop. And we'll talk about the main hoop in just a second. This jungle gym back here is the main hoop. As we see, it's a full X with the hoop that goes all the way to the edges of the car. And also what I like to see on four-door cars is the main hoop is back about 18 inches from where the B-pillar is. And again, for us tall rally drivers, that means that I'm sitting in this area between the stock B-pillar and the main hoop, a really safe place to be. The full X ties in the seatbelt bars, so the horizontal bar going across, the seatbelt's attached directly to it, so there's no distance between where the seatbelts are attached to the roll cage and coming out of the seat. Very little distance. There currently is no bar going across the bottom, and even I'm going to have to check the rules to make sure that that isn't required. I think that something might need to be tied in, but because it has the full X, I think we might be okay. Here's the back door and a better shot of the main hoop. These are the back stays, and there's a single diagonal going from one side to the other. These back stays are tied directly into the wheel wells and the rear strut towers. This makes for a really strong setup where you're transferring the load from any potential bending, going over bumps and stuff, directly into the roll cage. So it makes the chassis so much stiffer. This is the correct wall tubing and was oversized for when it was built. Let's check to see how big this is. Looks like 1 3/4, 1.8, yeah, 1.75. Yeah, so 1 3/4 inch tubing. Great for the current rules.
Next time on Rally Notes, we attempt to get some of the old stickers off, or prep it for paint. We'll need to plan out our next move carefully while the car is still drivable. As such, removing the dash and prepping the interior now or in the summer when it's 90 degrees out. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed it or learned anything, give us a like. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. Join us in the comments for discussion and questions. Let us know what you like so far and what things you'd like to see more of. As always, we'll see you on the stages.